Alrighty guys, for today's tutorial I'm using the Scheepjes Katona. Now it is let's get a nice close-up for you. It is a 4-ply or a light 2-weight cotton. Now you can use wool, you can use acrylic, you can use cotton, you can use whatever you like. I used roughly 4 of these skeins, just under 4. It was about 175 grams worth, okay? Now I did do 2 sides to the tie and then we crocheted both the pieces together, which is why I used a lot, okay? You can use acrylic or wool if you like, but whatever you use a 4-ply light 2-weight because it makes the tie sit better. You also may need to, and I'll just show you quickly, you may need to wash and block your tie. We also made a little loop at the back for it as well, making it look even more professional. And there's the original picture that you can see right there. How simply divine, is it not? I used a 3.5mm hook, gorgeous, 1 pair of scissors, a sewing needle, 2 stitch markers, yep, and of course you will need your 4 skeins of yarn. All right, so there you have it guys. We're going to start creating our gorgeous David Beckham inspired tie. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in that loop and just give everything a tug. Now I probably left a really long tail. I like long tails for weaving. So there you go, a little bit of trivia there. All right, so what we're going to do here is chain. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook, 1. Yarn over, 2. All right, chain 2. What you're going to do is in the very first chain that you created, right there, you pop your hook in and you're going to do a single crochet. Single crochet US, double crochet UK. Okay, pop your hook in, pull a loop through. And you've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over your hook, pull through both those loops. All right, before you do anything, we're just going to do 1 more. In the same stitch, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, holding it nice and tightly with your fingers. It's a bit awkward because it's a first stitch, yeah. Yarn over your hook, pull through 2. All right, normally we would put stitch markers, but there's not enough stitches here. We'll do that in the next row. And the next row is like this. You chain 1 and you turn your little piece like so. And now you're working in the top stitch of that last single crochet, which is now your first, yeah? And you're doing 2 single crochets in that stitch. So 1, but before you do the second one, you can pop your stitch marker in there if you like. So we're going to try it just for now so that I can show you count. So pop your stitch marker in there. In the same stitch you are in, you're doing a second single crochet. A little awkward still because it's small and the stitch marker takes a lot of space. You can use small ones if you like, or pieces of thread, hairpin, safety pin, whatever you have in stock, yeah? So pop your hook in the very next stitch. A little awkward to find, all right? But just try and find the 2 loops on top. Pull a loop through like so, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, that's the first one, and you're doing a second one in the same stitch. A little awkward. Now if you were to count these stitches, they're like little V looking things. You can see them here. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is your second row. Before continuing, I just want to show you something real quickly. I've done a little thing here for this piece right here, all right? So I'm working on my first piece, that's my first piece. So I'm going to call that side 1 and side 2. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the tie is very long and by the time you calculate all the stitches, you can lose count. And when you put them together to crochet the single crochet around it, it might be lopsided. So stay focused on your count. And we've done 2 rows already, even though they're small. So you go 1 and 2, like I've done here. Now you don't need to do this if you don't want to. but it's better to know that you have 2 single crochets in the first row and you have 4 single crochets in the next row. And then you'll have 6, and then you'll have 8, and then you'll do a line across here, and that's your 5th row, but you'll have 10 stitches in it. Don't worry about that for now. This up the top, the number is just the amount of stitches in the row. These are your rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 23. That's how many rows this is here. All right. But for now, you've only got the 2 rows done, and you've got 4 stitches across. All right. So what I want you to do, okay, is at the end of each row, you are always chaining 1. So yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once. And while we're increasing, you turn your work. So while we're increasing, we're doing 2 stitches in the first stitch, which is right there. Don't miss it. Know that that is your chain right up the top there, and right next to it is your first stitch. So 1, and pop a stitch marker in there, and I'll show you why in a minute. So pop your stitch marker in there. Do a second one in the same space. All right, so it's 2, and then do 1 in each stitch until you get to the last stitch. So 1 in the second one. Oh, this is fairly tight. 1 in your third, and in your 4th, you're placing 2 single crochets, which is the stitch with your stitch marker. Now that's the reason why we put that stitch marker, because sometimes it's hard to find that stitch. If you were to look at it now, you could miss it. You could chain 1 and turn and not know that there was one right there. All right, that's the only reason why we're using stitch markers. So 1 and 2. So count your stitches, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Mark off your 6 stitches. So that's the 3rd row, 6 stitches. You don't have to. You don't have to put the number up there if you don't want to, because I'm doing the count for us. But that's your 3rd row. Okay. You do need to mark off your rows, because further into the tutorial, you'll have like, I don't know, 5 rows of just plain single crochet. So you'll need to know what row you're on. Yeah. So chain 1, turn your work, single in that first, right there. 1, and we're placing a stitch marker. If you're a professional and you don't feel like using a stitch marker, don't use them. Okay. 2, that's the second one in the same stitch, but I would suggest if you're new to crochet to use them. Yeah. And in a single in every stitch across, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you get to your stitch marker, 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And you can remove that stitch marker if you like. And let's do that now. Chain 1, turn your work. Single in the first. Forgot to count, but if you wanted to count, and mark your rows off. Very important, yeah? So mark your row off. It's important to mark your row off. If you forget to count, don't worry, I have the count for you. That's a really bad 8. I have the count for you, all right? So you would have had 8 single crochets in that row. We better count the next one so we don't get confused, huh? It's always increasing by 2 in every row right now, yeah? So a second single crochet in the same space, and your single crochets across. And 2 in that last stitch. 1 and 2. Remove your stitch marker. Mark your piece, and it's the 10th one, so you go like that. And again, if you want to put your count in, you can. I'll put 10 single crochets. The bonus is you can count to see if you actually have 10. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you are counting those little V's that you see here. All right, chain 1, flip your work. Single in your first, pop your stitch marker in, second one, and single across. One and two in your last stitch. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to chain 1, count your stitches across, should be 12, right? So what I'm going to do is show you now what you need to do. So that's 1, and up the top, you don't need to if you don't want to, 12. All you need to remember to do for now, and you're going to do this on your own, is to chain 1, turn your work, 2 single crochets in the first, 1 in each stitch all the way across, and 2 at the end. Chain 1, turn, and do the same. Mark off your stitches, and when you get to 22 single crochets across, stop there and meet me back here. And you should probably have 22 single crochets in 5 rows. So just do the next 5 rows, increasing over and over and over again until you have 22 single crochets across. Once you get to your 22 single crochets across, meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right guys, so here we are at the end of our 5 rows, or our 5th row if you will. You should have 22 single crochets across. You should actually be 5, 10, you should be at the end of your 11th row and you should have your 22 single crochets. Now if you don't, then you need to check where you may have gone wrong. All right, but in the meantime, just a quick tip there, I've popped my stitch marker in the loop so I don't lose my spot. I do that often. Usually I don't use stitch markers much, but when I do use them, I literally use them to put them in those little loops there so I don't lose my stitch. So there you go, a little trivia there about me. All right, so you're at the end of this row. You're going to turn your work like normal. Make sure you've chained your 1 and turn your work like normal. We're going to no longer increase at the beginning or the end of the rows, and we're not going to do anything else other than a single crochet in your first stitch like normal, and then pop your stitch marker in it like so. Let's try that again. Split the yarn there. Hello. And then a single crochet in every stitch across. Remember, we started with 22 single crochets, so we need to end with 22 single crochets because we are not increasing anymore. All right, what I'm going to do is pop this on fast, and I want you to do single crochets all the way across until you get to your stitch marker, and off we go. Alrighty guys, I have a stitch before the stitch marker right there, and then all I'm going to do is pop 1 single crochet only in that stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker, chain 1, count your stitches across, make sure there are 11. Sorry, let's try 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22. Yep, but now you have to mark your sheet. What I put instead of saying 22, because we know it's 22, I now, you don't have to do this, I change a colour for no reason, put SC, which means a row of single crochets. That's all. So I can always know that that will be 22 stitches because all I'm doing is a row of single crochets. Not necessary, you can put 22 there in every row if you like, doesn't matter, whatever suits you, okay? But what we're going to do now is simply that. Chain your 1, yep, flip your work, single in your first stitch that you've been doing all along, stitch marker in, single crochet in every stitch all the way across like so. And once again, going to pop this on fast, get to that stitch marker, and I'll meet you there in just a moment, and off we go. Alrighty, I'm on my second last stitch there, and on my last stitch, what am I doing? Single crochet only. Whoops, let's chain one and pop the stitch marker in that loop and get ready for instructions. Before we do, bring your little sheet over, continue to mark it off, guys, because you will forget, and then you'll be one row short at the end of the round. You may not forget, you might be a genius, but I'll forget, so I'm going to mark mine off. You're going to do that exact row that you just did for 12 more rows. Meet me back here once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so do 12 more rows of just plain single crochets, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, I asked you to do another 12 rows. Now I've done 12 rows on both sides now. I'm at the same stage on both sides. Not necessary for you to work at both sides at the same time. It just helps me, okay? Alright, so add your hook now. Make sure you've chained your one at the end of the row. Yep. Now what we're going to do now is decrease time, okay? Once you've chained your one, you turn your work, you single crochet in your first stitch like normal. And move everything out the way so you can see. Pop your stitch marker in like normal. Calculate that as being your first single crochet, which it is. Yep. So single crochet 1, single 2, and we're doing 10 across, yeah? And 10. All right, and you can count them again if you're not sure. You might have made a mistake. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you were to count 10 back from there, let's try it just for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You will have 2 single crochets left, which is 11 and 12. So it's 22 altogether. With 11 and 12, we're going to single crochet them together. All right. And it's a very simple process, okay? You pop your hook in that first stitch, pull a loop through, like you're doing a normal single crochet, hold it there. Pop your hook into your next stitch, pull the loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You have joined those 2 single crochets together as one, okay? And then you single 10 across, 1, and 10 in that last one right there. Chain 1, remove your stitch marker, and if you have a careful look at your work, you can see a gentle tug in there. That is normal. Now what you should have, if you counted your V's up the top, you would have 21 single crochets because you brought 2 together into one. So turn your work, single in your first stitch, pop your stitch marker like so, and single all the way across your piece like you're doing a normal row, yeah? But let's go to that 10th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now 11 and 12 were together. You can't even tell. You just pop your next stitch in there, 11, into the next one, 12, and off you go, keep going. and 21. You should be 1 stitch short, which is normal. Chain 1, remove your stitch marker like so. All right, so if you turn your work now, which you're going to, and did single crochets across, you'll be working on 21 stitches. All right, so that's just a quick heads up on how we decrease. Now what you want to do is, you've done 1 decrease row here, you've done 1 single crochet row. What you want to do now is another 11 more single crochet rows before you do. Now we didn't do this, okay, we did 1 decrease row. You can call this decrease, D-E-C, or you can call it 21 stitches. I'm sorry, that handwriting's really tiny, but you know what I mean, yeah? So we did that row, and then the next row was a single crochet row. All right, so you're going to do another 10 single crochet rows, all right? Just repeat the last row we did for another 10 more rows. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I asked you to complete the last 10 rows. Altogether actually, you should have 37 rows complete. Alright, so now we're going to continue, but what we're going to do now is pretty much the same thing we've done over the past 12 rows. Your first row will be the decrease, and then you'll do another 11 rows of single crochet. However, the decrease is going to happen in different places all the time for the simple fact that you are making less and less stitches. Now there's 21 stitches. So what's half of 21? Well, half of 20 is 10. Yeah. You might want to do 10 and 11 together. I'd like you to keep it as centered as possible. Once you do that 1 row decrease, then you do 11 rows single crochet. So I'm going to start you off real quickly, and then you're going to head off and do different sets, and we'll talk about that later. But for starters, you're doing a single crochet in your first stitch like normal, and I'm rushing this because this is just to show you where to put your decrease. Single into your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, whoops, if I can get in there, 8 and 9. So if you were to count 9 back, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you did 10 and 11 together, then you would actually have 10 across. So you could either do 10 and 11 together, or you could do 11 and 12. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to do 10, and then I'm going to do 11 and 12 together, which is start your single crochet in your 11th stitch, jump into your 12th, pull the loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and then single crochet in each stitch across. And 9. So it doesn't matter if you're 1 short on one side or 1 short on the other. It doesn't matter. It just know that when you do the decrease in another 12 rows time, you're going to kind of even it all out anyway. It does even out, all right? All right, so what you have now is 20 stitches across because we had 21 and now we've decreased. So let's go over here like so and do that one right there. Grab your green. You could put 20 or you could put decrease. Whatever you want to put there is up to you. I'm going to put decrease 20. So when I know the next row I mark off, it'll be a single crochet. Or you could still put 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 until you get to the next decrease, which will be 19. And then you go 19, 19, 19, 19, 19. It's up to you. We'll talk about that later. I don't really want to waste your time. For now, what I do want you to do is do a single crochet in the next row all the way across. Don't worry about your decrease, just single crochet all the way across. And you need to do those single crochets for another 11 more rows. all right? Then meet me back here and we'll actually talk about what we're going to do with this set, because you're going to be doing this set quite a few times, all right? So just do the next 11 rows single crochet. Meet me back here once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this set, and where you should be right now is on your 49th row. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that set that you just did, we're going to repeat twice. We're going to do it once and then we're going to do it a second time. The instructions are like this. So you're on your 49th row right now. Your next row will be the 50th row. It will tell you where you need to decrease, and then after that you'll do 11 more rows. You will get to your 61st row, yes? Then on the 62nd row, it'll tell you where to decrease, and then you will need to do another 11 single more crochet rows, which will make it right up to 73 rows. All right, so what you're going to do is simply that. I'm going to leave those instructions at the end of this section right here now, and also it'll actually tell you where you need to decrease on what stitch. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to get you to head off on your own. The instructions will be up there in a moment, and it'll tell you exactly where you need to decrease in your next row, and it'll tell you what you need to do for the next 24 rows. All right, head off on your own, follow the instructions you see up there on the screen now. Meet me back here once you're done and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of our 2 sets. Get excited, get excited. Now what we want to do, oh by the way, just real quickly, I ended up turning over, that's how much I needed. You should be at your 73rd row, yes. Now we're going to do another decrease, all right. Another decrease. So turn your work like normal and you're single crocheting like normal. Now I've taken out my stitch markers. I don't usually use them off air, to be fair. I use them when I don't want to lose my thread normally, but on the edges I don't, but I would suggest you do. This is your second one. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're going to do 9 and 10 together. Okay, so let's do that. 9 and 10 together. Pull through, and then you do your single crochet 8 all the way across. And what you will have is 17 single crochets at the end of this row. And nearly there. Make sure you get your last stitch. If you've taken your stitch markers out, chain on, and there's your 17. Right, now the instructions are to do 5 rows of single crochet. Before you do, make sure you mark them off. It's really important to mark them off because we are doing 2 pieces at the same time. So if you don't mark them off and you miss a row, your pieces are going to be out of shape. Yeah. So we just did one more, which is there. Oops. I'm doing them too close. That belongs here. That was the decrease, and that's 17. Okay. And now we are on 5 rows of single crochet. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this set of 5. Now what we want to do is do this set of 6 where you decrease on your next one and then do 5 single crochet rows over again for another 3 more sets. Okay, so what you want to do is decrease in your next row. I'll give you all the information in a minute. Decrease in your next row, 5 rows single crochet. Decrease again, 5 rows single crochet. And there's the information you need. Once you do all that, meet me back here and we will talk about the very big instruction. All right, it's a very big instruction. But what I want you to do now is to head off on your own and do those sets that you see up on the screen right there, right now. Once you've completed those sets, meet me back here once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this second set. You should be on 15 single crochets, yep, across your piece. Yeah, and you should be on your 91st row, but now we're going to do our 92nd row, all right? And that's a row with a decrease, so single in the first one, pop your stitch marker, beautiful, and that's your 1, count them across, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, try it again, 5, 6, and 7. Now single crochet 8 and 9 together. So 8, oops, if I can get that in, a bit tight for me, and 9 together, all right? And then you're single crocheting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one is your, I think it's split anyway, but it's your 6th stitch. All right, so do that last one and get ready for some big instructions. Yeah, big instructions now. Well, no, easy instructions, but you're going to do a lot of rows. All right, so let's have a look what we've got here. Yeah, it doesn't want to come out for me. Here we go. That's where we are. We've got all of that, and we're all the way down here. You should have 14 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, you have a big job. So what we've got here is 92 rows. We need to get to 185 rows, seriously. But just know that you're doing 185 rows of just plain single crochets for now. You're going to do single crochet rows all the way up until you get to 185. All right, so it's actually 93 more rows of plain single crochets. Simple instructions, head off on your own. Do 93 more rows of just plain single crochet. Meet me back here, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here I am at the 93rd row, or should I say 153rd row if you had to think about it. Yeah, oh, stitch markers everywhere. Well, that's good because then we know it's not going to come undone. So make sure you have chained your 1 at the end of your row like normal. Flip your work, single crochet in your first stitch, pop your stitch marker. I'm rushing it guys because we're almost nearing the end. Well, even though it doesn't look like it, we kind of are. I'll explain that to you later. But that's your first single crochet. We're counting 6 across, sorry. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, what is it? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, I lost count then. 5, don't you love it? 6. And we're going to do 7 and 8 together. So hook in, pull a loop through, into the next one, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. You're a genius at it now. 7 across, 1, 6 across, sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I've been doing too much counting off air that I'm losing count, but that was 6 across this way, 2 together here, and 6 across there. Simple, simple. Remove your stitch marker because we're going to do instructions now. All right, so let's bring that down. All right, here we go. No, that didn't work. One more time. Okay, here we go. So you've done your decrease. You should now have 13 single crochets across. Make sure you count your stitches. You're going to work on these 13 single crochets for another 15 more rows. Meet me back here once you're complete and you will get to row 201. Okay, this was row 186, so you're going to work on another 15 more rows and then you will be at row 201. All right, so once you get to 201, meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 201st row. Okay, or the last 15 rows if you want to calculate it that way. Here we go. We're going to flip our work yet again, single crochet in the first stitch, stitch marker. You're experts now. You fly through these next few rows. She says few, but it's a little more than few, but let's just put it down as few. And you're going to do 2, your second one across. Let's get a bit more close up here. Yep. Then you're going to do your third one, 4th, 5th. Let's try that again. Yep. 6th. And then once again, 7 and 8 together. So 7 and 8 together like so. Pull through 2. And then you do 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and your 5th one right there. Remove your stitch marker. And once again, we've got some instructions. Ooh, lost everything then. Okay, let's do that. All right, so you are now on your 202nd row. Now we need to do another 15 rows, okay? But remember, you now have, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all right? So 15 rows on these 12 stitches. You're on your 202nd row. Meet me back here once you get to your 217th row, and then we will talk about our very final center decrease. All right, so go ahead and do your 15 rows now and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, 15 rows later and I'm up to my 217th row. Still have 12 single crochets across. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, oh, we're so far away. All right, so what we're going to do now is single crochet 5 across. So 1, pop your stitch marker in. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here we're doing 6 and 7 together. So 1 in there and 1 in there. And then you count 5 across this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, remove your stitch marker. So now what you should have is 11 stitches across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you should be on your 218th row. Now, big instructions here, guys. Big instructions. And this is, there's 2 instructions and you can pick which one you want, put it that way. All right. So what we want to do now is work on these 11 stitches until we get to 1/2 inch or just a little bit over 1/2 inch before the end of your tie. All right. The length that I want my tie to be is 56.5 inches or around 143 centimeters, something like that. The length I want my tie to be in general, like right to the very end, is 57 inches. Now you can make your tie between 55 inches and 57 inches, okay, depending on how tall your fella is, okay. Obviously the taller the fella, the longer the tie, and roughly between 55 to 57 inches. Now this tie here is going to measure 57 inches or 145 centimeters. So what I want to do is keep the last 2 centimeters, or just on half an inch, a little bit over half an inch left at the end. So what you want to do is get your tie to measure 2 centimeters before the end of your tie, because we're going to do the last little point. We're going to make 2 centimeters worth of the last point, or just over half an inch of the last point. Or the amount of rows that I'm going to do is 117 rows of single crochet from now. Okay, so from this row here right up to the very end will be 117 more rows. But altogether through the whole tie from the beginning to my 117th row, it will be 335 rows altogether. Okay, now that's roughly my tie. You need to decide how many rows you want to do for yours. But if you can't decide, just grab your measuring tape and measure your tie. Just keep measuring your tie. Keep measuring it until you get to your 56. You can get to 55, 56 or 57 inches, or 140, 142 or 145 centimeters. It is entirely up to you, okay? Leave yourself 2 centimeters or half an inch at the end, because we're going to make a little point like that. All right, so work on these 11 stitches now for another 117 more rows. Meet me back here once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are, check it out. I'm at roughly around 56.5 inches, okay? Now this, again, it's entirely up to you, okay? I'm up to my 335th row. Okay, we're no longer going to be decreasing into the center. We're going to decrease at each side of your work, starting from the very first side. So turn your work like normal. And what you're going to do is single crochet these 2 together. So pop your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, hold it there. Pop it into your next stitch, pull a loop through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, grab your stitch marker, and like so. All right, now you are doing 7 single crochets across. 1, 7. Thought I missed a stitch there, but I didn't. Now you should have 2 left, yeah? 1 into the first one, pull a loop through, hold it there. 1 into your last one, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and you have decreased the beginning and the end of this row. So you've lost 1 stitch here and 1 stitch there. So now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, remove your stitch marker and let's continue. Chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to do the same row again. So single crochet 2 together, so 1 and 2. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, grab your stitch marker. Now your single crochets across will be less now because you've taken 2 off on both sides. I think it's 5, I could be wrong. 1, 5. Single crochet these 2 together here. So hook in, pull a loop through, hook into your next stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, remove that stitch marker, and you should have 7. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gorgeous. Now chain 1, turn your work, 2 together at the beginning, and you've got your 3 like so. Grab your stitch marker in there, and you should have 3 across now. So 1, 2, and it's a bit tight, 3, and then we have our 2 together at the end, 1 and 2 together like so. Remove your stitch marker, chain 1, turn your work. we're going to do 2 together again, 1 and 2 together. Now place your stitch marker here, it's a pretty important row, this one, right there, and you should only have 1 stitch left, and then your last 2 together. So 1 and 2 together like so. Remove your stitch marker, chain 1. You should now only have 3 single crochets together. So what we're going to do here, we've chained our 1, we're going to work on these last 3 single crochets, so turn the work, but we're going to do, instead of doing 2 together, we're going to do all 3 together. So pop your hook in the first stitch, pull a loop through, pop it into your second stitch, pull a loop through, and there's your 3. But what I want you to do is pop it into your last stitch, pull a loop through, and there is 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook, remove your stitch marker. Chain 1, all right? So what we're going to do here, I've done the chain, we're not going to call it a chain, that's just a loop. So we'll pull it up. I'm sorry guys, I got a bit disoriented there, and pull that loop through like so. That is the end of your tie. However, that's the end of one side, and then you have your other side. Oh look, where's too close, let's try that. Then you have your other side, so you should have 2 pieces. Right now they're a disheveled mess, but what I want you to do is go right down to the base where we first started, right here, all right, and pop your second one on top of your first one, because now we're going to attach them, and all we're doing here is doing a single crochet in the round all the way around our piece, right, but with both of them together. Now what I want you to do is watch your piece where they both roll like that, all right. That is the right side of your work, okay, so turn it that way. You're now on the wrong side of your work. Having a look at this one, how it rolls this way, that's the right side of your work. The wrong side is here. You're going to place the wrong sides together. So that's the right side. You're going to pop the 2 wrong sides together. And it doesn't matter really at this stage, to be fair. It doesn't matter. So what I want you to do is simply this. So grab your new thread. Just bring your tails over here a little bit. I'm going to show you a close-up so you can have a better look at this. See that little loop in there? That's your first stitch. That's where you want to pop your hook. All right, and then you want to go into that chain right there. All right, drop all your tails at the back, grabbing your new thread. See your new thread there? Pop your thread over your hook, pull your loop through like so, grabbing your thread, your tail, just pass it forward. It's going to lock it into place in a minute when we do a chain 1 and a single crochet back in that same space. So you pop your hook in, you're going through both of your pieces there. I'm crocheting over this tail a little bit, yeah. So pop it in and do 1 single crochet. Then what I want you to do is, first I want you to place your stitch marker in it like so, yeah, so that we can find it at the end of the row, and you're going to do a second single crochet in the same space. So in the space, and remember you're going through all thicknesses, both pieces, yeah, and doing your second single crochet, if you can do it without messing up the whole thing like I just did, yeah. Now you can pass that tail at the back. You're going to weave that end in later. For now, we're going to jump into the very next space, which is right there. The very next space on the opposite side, right there, with a single crochet, like so. Yep. Very next space, you can see the spaces. Yeah, these are the chains that we did before. Yeah, and you're going to do that. Both sides, remember you have 2 sides, into the next space there, and your next space on the opposite side. Gorgeous. All right, so there's the corner, one into the corner on that side and one into the corner on that side. Do 1 single crochet, yep, 2 single crochets. Make sure you're going into the corner again, you don't want to miss it. Back into the corner with a 2nd single crochet and a 3rd single crochet. All right, and now you just jump right into the very next space on this one, the very next space on that one, and you are continuing down the side. This is going to take you a little while, down the sides of your tie. All right, find a space. Every space you come to, just find it and keep going. Yep, simple as, huh? And off we go. All right, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this whole row. It's going to take me forever. But what I want you to do is, whoops, that's not the way we're going this way. Have a look at your piece. Make sure you are going into every stitch on this side, every stitch on this side, and every stitch on this side. If not, your work is going to buckle a little bit, turn that way. You're going to have something like this happening and you don't know why, or vice versa, underneath pulling and you don't know why. So just take your time. There's no hurry. Probably sit in front of the television, watch your favourite show and go ahead and do it. It's going to take you a while, all right? So you're going to go along this way, all the way around, get up to that corner right here, the very first corner. I'm going to pop my stitch marker in it. This is the very first corner here. All right. When you get to that corner there, wait for me there and we'll do that corner together and then this one here, and then you can do the other side yourself. All right. So for now, I want you to do this all the way over to, let's pretend like that was nice and straight. There. Do you like that? Let's pretend. Get to that stitch marker right there and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Too exciting, yeah? Too exciting. All right. I don't think I've done, I need to do one more. Hang on, just give me one moment. Oh, I should have shown you that because you would have seen it. That way you can see if you're at the end of the row. There was a stitch right before the corner stitch, okay? So let me take that undone so you can see what I did. I'll tell you exactly what I did. All right, I got to crochet happy. Now, if you look carefully, that's where our stitch marker is, but there's a space right before the stitch marker. It's fairly small, but it's there, so you need to get into that space or you'll be one short. Now, remove your stitch marker stitch. This is a corner stitch, so you go into your stitch there on one side, into the stitch on the other with a single crochet, 1, single 2, single 3. Always 3 single crochets in the corner. Then you're going to single crochet down to the peak. Okay, so we've got 1 there and 1 in the next. 1 into your next. It's fairly tight, but you'll catch it. Yeah, 1 into your next, and then you have your peaks right here. Now your peaks, if you get close up, you can see them. That's the 3 double crochet together. You've got to go into that stitch on one side, yeah, and into the other stitch on the other side and crochet like that, but grab your tails and pass them at the back. So just do 1 single crochet, back in again. Oops, splitting the yarn here. 2, oops, no, try it again. 2 single crochets and 3 single crochets, all with your tails there, okay? And then you're single crocheting down this way. So go into the very next. It's going to be a little tricky here, okay? Make sure everything's over and you're going right there into that very large space. 1 and your 2, oops, and 2. This is going down now. 3. There's a lot of yarn splitting here. Let's just check the back for a minute, make sure I'm not splitting anything. Yep. 4. And then you've got your main one right there, right at the side opposite that one right there. All right. And in that one, you've got 1 single crochet, you've got a 2nd single crochet, and a third single crochet. And then you're going to single crochet all the way down the opposite side. But you know what? Before you do, it's up to you if you want. Let me stop you there. You see these threads here? I ran out of thread on one side because I had 50-gram skeins. I actually got my spare threads, which were down here somewhere, and I sewed them inside the tie there and just weave them in along the side seam, making sure that they were along the side seam at the back of your work rather than the front. Or you could weave them in just down here. Where are they? Up there. You could weave them in just down here and down there. One way and one the other. It's up to you. But just know that you can actually weave those tails on the inside of your work. If you want to know how to weave in tails, we're going to do that right at the very end when we get down here. All right. So in the meantime, I would like for you don't have to sit here and watch me do this part. I've got threads everywhere now. All you need to do is single crochet all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Get to this corner right here. I'm going to pop stitch markers there, or one stitch marker that is. When you get to that corner right there, meet me right down here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, do that right now and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this section, or opposite side if you will. Now that did take a long time, didn't it? Yeah. Alright, so what you want to do is pop into the corner and do 3 single crochets like you've been doing with the other corners. Okay, so let's do that now. You could have done it before you removed the stitch marker. And do 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to work along the sides here and then pop into the end with your final stitch. So let's go along the sides right here, and I'm going to pop this on fast. All right, so we have a tail here, 2 tails. We're going to weave those tails in later. Now, we just have, I think it's 1 more stitch there, 1 right there. And then we have our corner stitch there, which we already have all our other threads in. We're going to do the 1. We're going to put those tails at the back. All right, so that is our last single crochet. You already had 2 single crochets there. However, we do need to slip stitch to join. So pop your hook in that tight stitch. You might want to remove your stitch marker, Mary. Hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine, yeah? So you're slip stitching into that stitch right there, pull the loop through, and then you are pulling up a loop. Make sure everything is correct, yeah, and you haven't missed any stitches or made any errors anywhere before you cut your work. Once you cut your work, you need to weave in these tails. Now you have a lot of tails to weave in, and you could have weaved some of those tails on the inside of your tie, but just real quickly, I'm going to weave in that very last tail with you. And yeah, when I say quickly, I mean I'm going to pop this on fast in a minute, so you can actually see how to weave in the tail, but not have to watch me do the whole thing, yeah? All right, so this is the knot. This is our final knot right there. All I want you to do is you can move those tails out the way for a minute. You can weave those in up and down the sides there or around here if you like. But this final tail does need to go back. It will turn up a little bit here, but what you want to do is to find a back stitch. Don't put it in that one there because that's part of the actual stitch. If you can skip over that one, see if I can try and show you that one piece there, skip over that and go into a loop at the back. That's the base of your single crochet. That's 1 thread of the base of your single crochet. So bring it down like so, and what will happen when you do that is that it'll pull back. So it gives it a nice straight edge, and you are now going to grab this thread and weave it in. And I'm going to pop this part on fast, but what I want you to do is just grab some threads anywhere and weave it through like so. All right, so when you have weaved it in twice or 3 times, whatever you like, give it a cut and a bit of a tug and your tail is gone. What I want you to do off air is to weave in all these ends, and you can do one side, one the other. One can go through in and out of the stitches there, whichever you like. All right, so now that we've done our tie, we need to do the little back loop that sits right here, so that you can pop your tie in there, the base of your tie in there once you're ready to pop it in. And let's do that now. We're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in and give it a tug. And you're doing just this. Chain 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. And then all you're doing here is popping a single crochet into every loop. And you know how to do those, you've been doing them all along. Alrighty, I'm on my last loop right there. A little bit tight, but it's there. And naughty me, forgot to pop a stitch marker in that first single crochet. But chain 1, turn your work single in your first, and then pop your stitch marker in there. Any stitch marker will do, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. Like so. And single crochet in every stitch. Once again, all the way across. Going to pop this on fast and off we go. All right, I'm getting close to the end. I've got a single crochet there and then 1 there. By the way, you should have 14 single crochets across, like so. Chain 1. So count your single crochets, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Don't stress too much about it, but what I want you to do now is to work on these 14 stitches for another 3 rows. So do your 3 rows of single crochet now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of our 3rd row, and actually we have 2 rows from the start, and then the last 3 rows we now have 5 rows. Now you could have done an extra 1 or 1 less, whatever you wanted to do for this part. Alright, so let's grab our tie. Now remember when we started our tie, I've left my tails here for you to see. That's the back of our tie, okay? That's where we want to place this little guy right here. Okay, we haven't finished it yet. We're going to pull the loop through in a minute. And what we're going to do is just quickly make a long tail. I don't know, double it, triple it, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Give it a cut. Yeah. And then grab your hook. Where is it? That's the wrong side. Hello. Here it is. Come on, Mary, you can do this. All right. So grab your hook, and all you're doing here is pulling your loop through. So in other words, you're just chaining your 1. That's how we pull our loop through. Chain the 1 and you're like that. All right, just leave that stitch marker there for a minute. So where we're going to put this is somewhere around here, and I'll explain to you a measurement real quickly. Grab your measuring tape. You want to measure 25 centimeters up from the tip or 10 inches. We'll give it 10 inches, so roughly around 10 inches. I'm going to pop a stitch marker in it so you can see what I've done. Remember, this is the back where your little tails are. If you're not sure which is the back, when you turn it over, you can see a nice neat edge on the tie. When you turn it this way, you've got like a real bubbled edge and it's kind of turned that way, yeah? So that's your back. So go 10 inches up, right there. 10 inches, 25 centimetres, or close to 25. Just a pop a stitch marker right there. Remove this guy. And that is exactly where you're placing your, oh, the tie's fallen down, your little piece that you made. Yeah. And all we're going to do is attach it right there. You can pop it just above it if you like, or you can pop it right on it, as long as it's around there. Okay. So there's no exact measurement, if you will. All right. So grab yourself a sewing needle. Okay. Sorry guys, I just had to transition that to thread the needle, as you do. All right, so you want, that's your tie, you want the right side of your, that's where we finished, yeah? You want that to be on top, and the part where we first started to be at the base. It doesn't really matter, it's just literally just for looks. And you want to place your little loop right there. And it can go anywhere, it can go under your stitch marker, preferably in the middle or above it. Don't put it under. If it's too low, the base of your tie may not reach it, okay? So I might even just put it above it like so. Yep, like there. And you know what? Once you get a spot, you can remove your stitch marker. This is a part where it doesn't have to be exactly where it needs to be. Just remember though, not to make it too low, okay? So up the top is fine. I don't know where my tail is. It's up the top there, yeah? All right, so the tail's there. Let me turn the tie around so you can see what I'm doing. I don't want you to work back to front. Try and keep it as straight as possible, yeah? And just make sure that your tie is centered, yep? And your thread is here, yep? You're just going to go back into the same stitch right there, just the same stitch of your little piece, if I can get it in, there we go. Go back into the same stitch, like that. And then you find a place up here. Now just weaving it or stitching it through the back of the thread of this one, and don't go through the front, okay? Just your back part of your tie, go through like that. There. All right, and we're just going to go back into the same space that we were in. It's just to reinforce the base a bit. So we're going to go back into that first space, and then you want to go in front of it a little bit. Just grab a stitch in front, making sure you're not going through all thicknesses. You're only going through the back of this, yeah? Okay, and just bring that through like that. There you go. And now all you're going to do is go backward and forward all the way up the top, like that. Grab a piece from this side. Just check the front, make sure you can't see it. Perfect. So if I can grab this piece right here, we're right at the very end, and what you want to do is just make sure you get your very last stitch in. Now you've got a piece of thread here, you should have actually weaved that in first, but it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you weave it in. It doesn't matter where you weave it into, as long as you weave it in. And it might pay for you to weave it in on the inside before you attach the other piece, yeah? So there we go, we're still here. We haven't closed up yet like we closed up there. We need to close it up. So we're going to go on the front here. Just grab some front stitching, check your front. There, and oops, oh, don't do what I just did. Knock the whole thing up. All right, there you go. And that's pretty much all you need to do. So what you're going to do here is weave this tail in. Now, if you want, you can do what I'm going to do, and you can put it through the stitch one last time like that, just to pop it on the inside. And you can weave that inside here if you like. And I might just do that. Let's leave that tail there. That tail needs to be weaved in, but for now I'm not going to worry about it. Just going to move it out the way. If I could stay in frame, that would be good. So just weave that tail in anywhere you like. Anywhere on the inside of your work. All right, so we're going to leave that there. Yeah, it's weaved in nice and tight under there. Give it a cut and just tug it a little bit and it stays inside your work. It doesn't bother you. Now what you're going to do, before you do the opposite side, I would like you to weave that tail in, okay? But what I want you to do with the thread that you still have attached, all you're going to do is pop it in there. All right, so pop it in there like that. Pop it in there. Where your stitch marker is, you can remove that guy now. I'm not going to do it because I want to weave that tail in, but what I want you to do is pop it in there and leave yourself a long tail for weaving in later. Hold it there and attach this piece the same way we did that one there. All right, so all you need to do is do that one. I want you to do that off air. I want you to weave that end in right there on the opposite side. Meet me back here once you're done and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, how did you go? It should look something like that. Make sure you've weaved in all your ends, yes, and there you have it. Ta-da! All done.